That includes Green Beret commandos, some of the military's most feared and most highly trained soldiers.
That includes Green Beret commandos, some of the military's most feared and most highly trained soldiers. They are used for the most dangerous missions around the world. When you think of American military prowess, you might picture aircraft carriers or stealth bombers. But the true edge of the blade comes from something much scarier. The men and women of the USA's most brutal special operations forces. These are not your average soldiers. They are the nightmare fuel of America's enemies. Forged through hellish training, loaded with bleeding-edge gear, and carrying reputations that echo across the battlefield, these forces embody the kind of terror you can't outgun or outrun. From silent infiltrators to hammer-swinging shock troops, let's count down the 15 most brutal special operations forces of America who will scare any opponent. 15 U.S. Navy SEAL teams. When people think of U.S. special operations, one name echoes louder than all the rest. Navy SEALs. They are the embodiment of relentless versatility, trained to dominate on sea, air, and land. And their global reputation is built on missions that read like action movie scripts, but end with real-world results. To even attempt to join their ranks, candidates must endure BUD/S, basic underwater demolition assault training, held in Coronado, California. This course is infamous for Hell Week, 5 days of near-constant punishment where sleep deprivation, freezing surf torture, and endless physical trials weed out all but the most unbreakable. Only a fraction make it through, and those who do are hardened into warriors capable of fighting in any environment. SEALs specialize in hostage rescues, direct action raids, counterterrorism, and covert reconnaissance. Their missions range from storming pirate ships like the daring 2009 rescue of Captain Phillips to clandestine operations across Iraq and Afghanistan. They are fast, precise, and lethal, often striking without warning and vanishing before enemies can regroup. What terrifies the enemies most is their unpredictability. SEALs can come from the sea in the dead of night, parachute silently from the sky, or creep into compounds on foot. Their attacks are calculated, surgical, and brutally efficient. Enemies know that once SEALs are assigned to a target, escape is impossible. To face them is not just to face soldiers. It's to face the most ruthless embodiment of U.S. special operations. A force that truly can strike anywhere, anytime. 14. U.S. Army Delta Force 1st SFOD. When the U.S. Army needs a scalpel for missions so delicate and dangerous that failure isn't an option, they send Delta Force. Officially the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, this shadowy unit was founded in 1977 by Colonel Charlie Beckwith, who modeled it after the British SAS. Since then, Delta has become synonymous with precision, lethality, and a reputation so fearsome that even hearing their name unsettles America's enemies. Delta's operators are drawn from the best. Rangers, Green Berets, and other elite soldiers who must endure a selection process that crushes body and mind alike. Candidates are pushed through days of grueling physical trials, relentless navigation tests, and psychological pressure designed to break even the toughest. Only a select few survive to join the unit, where they are trained to execute hostage rescues, counter-terrorism raids, and decapitation strikes against enemy leadership. Their history speaks for itself. The capture of Saddam Hussein in 2003, relentless raids against ISIS commanders, and countless missions that will never see the light of day. What terrifies adversaries about Delta isn't just their skill with weapons or tactics. It's their precision and silence. By the time Delta operators are on the ground, the mission is already over. Resistance is futile because the raid has been rehearsed, perfected, and executed with flawless timing. Delta Force doesn't waste motion, doesn't miss, and never leaves survivors. To enemies, they are the shadow in the corner. The knock at the door in the middle of the night. The silent force that makes even the most fortified stronghold a death trap. 13. SEAL Team 6, aka DevGRU. At the very peak of America's special operations pyramid stands a name etched into history. SEAL Team 6. Officially the Naval Special Warfare Development Group or DEV Group, this unit represents the ultimate fusion of brutality, precision, and secrecy. Formed in 1980 in the aftermath of the Iran hostage crisis, its mission was clear: to ensure the US would never again be caught unprepared for the world's deadliest counter-terror challenges. SEAL Team 6 operators are not ordinary SEALs. They are drawn from the ranks of already battle-hardened frogmen and then subjected to a specialized selection course that pushes their skills, endurance, and mental resilience to inhuman levels. They train with cutting-edge technology, master stealth insertions by land, sea, and air, and perfect the art of striking with terrifying speed. Their legacy is legendary. From rescuing hostages around the globe to dismantling terror networks, their defining moment came in May 2011, Operation Neptune Spear. In the dead of night, Devgar operators stormed a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and killed Osama bin Laden, the most wanted man on the planet. That operation cemented their status as the most feared unit in the world. SEAL Team 6 stands out as number one, not only because of their skill or resources, but also due to their inevitability. If you are on their list, there is no hiding, no negotiating, and no escape. They combine stealth, advanced intelligence, and ruthless efficiency into a package that guarantees one outcome: elimination. For America's enemies, the knowledge that SEAL Team 6 is hunting you is not a threat. It's a death sentence. 12th 24th Special Tactics Squadron. The Air Force doesn't often wear the spotlight in the world of special operations, but the 24th Special Tactics Squadron is where shadows become deadlier than bullets. This is the most secretive unit in the Air Force. A handpicked blend of elite combat controllers, pararescue men, and reconnaissance specialists who operate alongside Tier 1 legends like Delta Force and SEAL Team 6. Their mission is deceptively simple yet devastating in practice. Integrate air and ground warfare so flawlessly that enemies never even realize the battle has begun. Whether it's guiding a stealth bomber strike onto an insurgent compound, coordinating helicopter insertions in zero visibility conditions, or pulling a wounded operator out of a kill zone, the 24th STS ensures America's most dangerous missions have absolute control over the battlefield. Their impact across Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond has been profound. They've orchestrated airstrikes with pinpoint accuracy, rescued operators under fire, and enabled Tier 1 raids that toppled entire terror networks. What makes them brutal is not just their ability to fight, but their ability to rewrite the rules of combat, blending stealth, air dominance, and tactical coordination into one lethal package. For adversaries, the 24th STS is particularly terrifying because they're invisible architects of destruction. You may think you're battling soldiers on the ground, but in reality, you're already surrounded by air power and surveillance beyond your comprehension. By the time you hear the roar of jets or the thump of rotors, it's too late. The 24th STS has already rewritten the battlefield, and you're merely standing on their stage. 11. U.S. Air Force Tactical Air Control Party, TACP. War has always been about timing, and no one in the American arsenal controls timing like the TACP. These warriors are the human bridge between infantry units grinding it out on the ground and the overwhelming firepower waiting above the clouds. When TACPs embed with Army units, they are not just carrying rifles. They're carrying the ability to unleash jets, bombers, and drones at will. Their training pipeline, often a year long, is deliberately punishing. Candidates are pushed through survival courses, navigation mastery, and advanced communications, ultimately earning the coveted JTAC, Joint Terminal Attack Controller certification. It means that with a few words over a secure radio, a TACP can guide a bomb the size of a car onto a target only meters away from friendly troops and do it without a mistake. Enemies fear TACPs because they turn the sky into a personal executioner. You may think you're safe behind cover or hiding in a compound, but once a TACP locks onto your position, you're seconds away from being vaporized by a precision strike. In Afghanistan and Iraq, insurgents quickly learned that fighting US troops was one thing. But fighting US troops with a TACP at their side was suicide. These operators give ground forces godlike reach, and for adversaries, the battlefield becomes a trap the moment the sky starts to listen. 10 Marine Raiders, Mars. When the Marine Corps decided to bring back the legendary name Raiders, they weren't just honoring history. They were reviving a tradition of shock, speed, and unrelenting ferocity. Today's Marine Raiders, officially known as Mars, fuse the Marine Corps' hard-hitting combat ethos with the surgical precision of special operations, creating a hybrid force that can dominate anywhere from jungle swamps to desert strongholds. The Raider selection process is brutal, demanding not just physical strength, but mental toughness, adaptability, and a willingness to thrive in absolute chaos. Those who pass master amphibious insertions, guerrilla tactics, intelligence gathering, and precision raids. Their training molds them into operators who can swim through enemy coastlines at night, emerge from the surf with weapons ready, and dismantle hostile networks before alarms can even be raised. Mars has proven itself across Iraq, Afghanistan, and throughout the Pacific, conducting high-stakes missions against insurgent leaders and terror networks. They combine the speed of shock assault with the cunning of unconventional warfare, making them a nightmare for any enemy force. What makes Raiders so terrifying is the element of inevitability they bring. You don't get a second chance against them. By the time you hear the whisper of movement or see shadows flicker in your compound, they are already inside, dismantling your defenses. They don't fight fair. They fight smart, fast, and without hesitation. Enemies know that when Marine Raiders are on the move, the fight is already over before it begins. 9 U.S. Air Force Rescue PJs. Most special forces strike fear by how many enemies they can kill. PARS rescue men terrify by making U.S. forces unkillable. Known simply as PJs, these warrior medics live by the motto that others may live. And they have the skills to drag soldiers out of hell itself. For America's enemies, this means every ambush, every firefight, every carefully laid trap loses its edge because PJs will come, no matter how dangerous, to pull wounded troops back from the jaws of death. Their pipeline is 2 brutal years long, covering everything from paramedic-level medical certifications to combat diving, halo parachuting, survival, and advanced weaponry. They are equally comfortable swimming through icy seas, dropping into mountains under canopy, or treating wounds under heavy gunfire. Few humans are ever trained to this level of both combat and medicine, which makes PJs an anomaly on the battlefield. Saviors with rifles. From the jungles of Vietnam to the deserts of Afghanistan, PJs have built their reputation by repeatedly risking their lives to extract down pilots or injured soldiers. Often while under heavy enemy fire, they don't just save lives. They deny adversaries the satisfaction of claiming U.S. casualties. Enemies fear them because their presence makes American forces nearly indestructible. Every fallen soldier is simply a rescue mission waiting to succeed. For those fighting the U.S., it means no victory is ever permanent. 8 Marine Corps Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Teams. If MSSTs dominate the water, FAST Marines dominate the ground wherever American lives or assets need defending. FAST is not about patience or negotiation. It's about raw speed and decisive aggression. These Marines are stationed strategically around the globe, ready to deploy within hours. And when they do, they bring the storm with them. Their mission is simple yet terrifying in its execution. Defend U.S. embassies, naval bases, and critical infrastructure against terror strikes, riots, or assaults. They train in brutal urban close-quarters combat, refining their ability to clear rooms and hallways in seconds. They drill in marksmanship until hitting the smallest moving target becomes second nature. And they master reinforcement tactics, meaning they can lock down a compound against overwhelming numbers, holding it with ruthless efficiency until reinforcements arrive. The very existence of FAST Marines is a psychological deterrent. Enemies plotting to storm an embassy or sabotage a naval asset know that within hours these Marines will be on the ground, armored, armed, and advancing without hesitation. They are shock troops in the truest sense. Fast to deploy, fast to act, and fast to end the fight before it spirals. What terrifies adversaries most about FAST is their reputation for being mercilessly effective. They don't waste time negotiating or posturing. They hit hard, stabilize the situation, and make sure the threat never resurfaces. In a world where terror groups rely on surprise and chaos, FAST Marines thrive in that exact environment. And that makes them the nightmare antidote to any violent uprising. Subscribers pick, the Phantom Unit. And now it's time for today's subscribers pick. Some people whisper of a unit that doesn't officially exist, but word is they are the most feared and brutal special op force in the entire world. The soldiers are allegedly clad in faceless armor with wielding tech decades ahead of its time. They appear without warning, erase targets without a trace, and vanish into silence. Many dismiss them as myth, a ghost story for enemies of America, but others claim to have seen the blue glow in the dark. What do you believe? Tell us in the comments. 7 U.S. Air Force Combat Controllers, CCT. If TACPs are the link, combat controllers are the architects of chaos. Wearing their distinctive scarlet berets, CCTs thrive where the battlefield is most volatile, bringing order for U.S. forces, and annihilation for their enemies. They're trained not just as combat fighters, but also as certified air traffic controllers, meaning they can carve out landing zones, direct aircraft in hostile skies, and call in devastating strikes while bullets snap past their heads. The road to becoming a combat controller is notoriously grueling. Over nearly 2 years, candidates in geoparachuting, diving, demolitions, small unit tactics, and the technical mastery of air traffic control. Skills that demand both brains and sheer toughness. Only a fraction survive, and those who do become both warriors and air bosses in one body. What makes CCT stand out is its duality. On one hand, they can be in the thick of combat, moving like any other special operator with weapons at the ready. On the other, with a single radio transmission, they can command squadrons of fighters and bombers, transforming the sky into an execution ground. In Afghanistan, Iraq, and beyond, the appearance of a CCT meant that the battle was no longer just about ground tactics. The full weight of US air dominance was about to come crashing down. To the enemy, they are the worst possible news. A man with a rifle who also owns the sky. 6th, 161st Special Operations Aviation Regiment, aka Night Stalkers. When darkness falls and you hear the distant chop of helicopter blades, you better pray it's not the 160 SAW. Known as the Night Stalkers, this legendary regiment is the aerial backbone of America's most daring missions. Their specialty, flying elite operators like Delta Force, SEALs, and Rangers into the most dangerous kill zones on Earth, and getting them out alive. Their training is brutal, focused on low-level flying through treacherous terrain, complete mastery of night vision goggles, and precision infiltration under hostile fire. Pilots are handpicked from the Army's best and then pushed even harder, learning to maneuver helicopters like Blackhawks, Chinooks, and Little Birds in ways that defy imagination. These aviators can weave between buildings, skim over treetops, and land in impossibly tight spaces, all under fire and all in darkness. The Night Stalker's legacy is written in blood and legend. From the 1993 Black Hawk Down battle in Mogadishu to flying SEAL Team 6 into Pakistan for Operation Neptune Spear, their rotors have carried America's most secret warriors into history. 5th 75th Ranger Regiment, Regimental Reconnaissance Company. The 75th Ranger Regiment already has a reputation as one of the Army's most elite strike forces, but tucked inside its structure is a unit so shadowy most people never even know it exists. The Regimental Reconnaissance Company, or RRC. These operators are the Rangers' hidden eyes and ears, moving far ahead of everyone else to map the battlefield and set the trap before the first shot is fired. Only the top-performing Rangers even get a shot at RC selection. And those who make it endure an unforgiving regimen of advanced communications, stealth tactics, surveillance technology, and long-range reconnaissance. They master the art of disappearing into hostile territory, watching and reporting without ever being seen, and when needed, calling in precision strikes that unravel enemy plans before they even begin. During the global war on terror, RRC was often the quiet force shaping the success of high-profile missions. They infiltrated deep into hostile zones, tracking enemy movements, pinpointing high V-value targets, and preparing the battlefield so Delta Force or SEALs could strike with deadly precision. These operatives are invisible phantoms, always watching, always listening. By the time you realize your movements are compromised, it's already too late. The RRC doesn't announce its presence. It simply tilts the battlefield until victory is inevitable. For enemies of the US, the scariest part isn't the firefight. It's knowing the Rangers' invisible vanguard has been watching all along. For Navy Special Warfare Combatant Craft Crewman SWCC. While SEALs are the ones most people imagine in Hollywood movies, their secret weapon often rides in on roaring engines and pounding waves, the SWCC. These are the boat crews of naval special warfare, the masters of inserting and extracting operators into hostile territory under conditions that would make other sailors weep. Their training pipeline is notoriously brutal, demanding not only the physical endurance to handle hours of pounding surf and hostile fire, but also the technical skill to command heavily armed watercraft at blistering speeds in pitch-black darkness. They learn how to maneuver while dodging gunfire, navigate with pinpoint accuracy, and rain down suppressive fire from multiple mounted weapons, all while keeping their boat steady enough to drop off or pick up SEAL teams. But SWCC aren't just chauffeur. Their vessels are floating gun platforms armed with heavy machine guns, grenade launchers, and sometimes even precision missile systems. When they appear, they dominate the waterways with sheer firepower, creating corridors of death where no enemy craft can pass. And if you see their boats racing in, you know SEALs are close by and escape is no longer an option. You can run, but on rivers and coasts, SWCC ensures you won't get far. They are the waterborne predators of naval special warfare, the hunters of the dark currents, and when they appear on the horizon, survival becomes a fleeting dream. 3. U.S. Army Green Beret Special Forces. The Green Berets aren't just fighters. They are architects of entire wars. Officially called U.S. Army Special Forces, these soldiers specialize in the art of unconventional warfare, shaping conflicts by turning local populations into allies and insurgencies into weapons. They don't just step into a battlefield, they rewire it from the inside out. Earning the Green Beret is a brutal journey. Candidates endure the Special Forces assessment and selection, a grueling test of endurance, intelligence, cultural awareness, and adaptability. Those who survive move on to the legendary Q course where they train in guerrilla warfare, foreign languages, advanced medicine, and unconventional tactics. It's not enough to fight. Green Berets must be able to lead, teach, and win trust in some of the world's most hostile environments. From Vietnam to Afghanistan, they've repeatedly shifted the tide of conflicts by building local armies, teaching guerrilla forces, and embedding within communities to strike at enemies from within. They can vanish into the terrain, speak the local dialect, and organize an uprising before the enemy even realizes the game has changed. 2. Marine Corps Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company, Anglico. Some special operations forces fight you with bullets, but Anglico fights you with thunder from the sky and fire from the sea. These Marines are the ultimate force multipliers, wielding power far beyond their small numbers. Their specialty is terrifying in its simplicity. They guide artillery, naval gunfire, and air strikes with surgical precision, often raining destruction down so close to friendly troops it seems impossible. Anglico's roots stretch back to World War II when precise coordination between naval guns and ground troops decided the fate of Pacific Island battles. Today, their tools are far more advanced. Laser designators, GPS-guided systems, encrypted radios, and a mastery of joint operations that lets them call in Navy destroyers, Army artillery, or Air Force bombers as if they were their own. For adversaries, this means you never truly fight Anglico directly. You may never even see them, hidden in cover or embedded with Allied units. They are quietly orchestrating devastation that can wipe out your position in seconds. And the psychological impact is enormous. How do you fight an enemy that doesn't fire at you directly, but instead summons a storm of steel from miles away? What makes Anglico so scary is that they are not just deadly, they are precise. Their strikes aren't blunt force sledgehammers. They are scalpels that cut away exactly what needs to be destroyed. Facing Anglico means you are never safe. Not in a trench, not in a building, not even behind your strongest defenses. The sky itself becomes your enemy. 1. Coast Guard Maritime Safety and Security Teams. At first glance, you might underestimate them. After all, the Coast Guard is often associated with search and rescue missions or drug busts on the high seas. But once you meet the MSSTs, you quickly realize these are not lifeguards in uniform. While not technically classified as U.S. Special Operations Forces, MSSTs train and operate at a level that comes surprisingly close. Born from the aftermath of 9/11, they were designed to counter the nightmare scenario of a terrorist strike from the water, protecting ports, ships, and waterways from catastrophic threats before they ever reach U.S. shores. Their training reads like a playbook for nightmare scenarios, counter-terror tactics in crowded ports, close-quarters battle drills inside the tight confines of ship corridors, high-speed interception techniques using heavily armed boats, and even CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, defense for the unthinkable attacks no one else wants to imagine. The most unnerving thing about MSSTs is their unpredictability. They can show up like a police unit with the legal authority to board your vessel. And in the next breath, they hit you with military-style ferocity, sweeping through decks with precision and force. They are America's maritime gatekeepers, the guardians of ports and waterways. And anyone plotting to sneak a bomb or weapon of mass destruction into U.S. soil by water knows that the MSSTs will be waiting. For adversaries, seeing them approach means the endgame has already arrived. And these were the 15 most brutal and terrifying special operation forces in the USA.